Hello, hello. It's going good over here, I suppose. And yourself?
Oh, good. I just got tricked by that image with the play button on it. It's so funny. It's like one of
Absolutely.
those silly test images.
Right.
So this week we don't have any updates to share with y'all, but we'd love to hear from you. Um, we know they've been working on video still. They're trying to perfect that. Hey, Sam.
Well, hello, greetings, everyone. How was your week?
So far, so good. How about you?
It's been a very, well, chill and serene week for me. So, yeah, I would say good.
Nice.
So, there is something I wanted to follow up on, mention on when the opportunity affords it.
Yeah, feel free.
So, I did another challenge posting yesterday and with all three of my little butterfly characters. And I attempted to write some detailed description of what's going on with the butterfly and post it. And as I would get, roughly halfway through the little description bubble, the blue continue button gets pushed completely off my screen on my smartphone, and I can't send it. So then I have to go back and flip a bunch of stuff out and keep shaving and shaving and shaving until I can see the very top part of the continue button, and then I'm able to send it. And I'm like, oh, this is still happening. Okay. I gave it a few weeks to see if that would get fixed or not, but I guess on my my humble Android phone, that's not to be.
Is that through the
Man,
app
those
or is that on the mobile website, by the way? Because the app, unfortunately, will not receive any updates until it's back onto the Google Play Store.
Oh, so I don't I use the app. I try to go through the website, but then what happens is the app takes over and I get kicked back over to the app engine, I think, because that seems to be a recurring problem no matter how I try to post it. I don't
Yeah,
do it on my computer. Um, well, because when I'm doing this, I'm either away from my computer or I don't feel like turning on my old aged laptop. So I just rely on the app or whatever way I can access it through my phone.
I hear you. And honestly, it is a little bit complicated to get it so it won't just automatically pop into the app. Because I believe that Android uses the mobile browser to sign into the app, so that's what's happening there. Do you have a second browser on your phone instead of just using
Um,
Chrome, for example? Do you have like Brave or Opera, Firefox, Edge? Because one way I access the mobile website is just by using Edge instead of Chrome. I
okay.
um
So let
basically
me let me go to my little widget screen on my phone here. Give me a sec. I'll tell you what browsers that I do have. So I have Chrome, and then I also have. Let me go back.
Well, I can help
Let's
you out with
see.
that one, Sam,
Edge.
because
Edge.
I've actually tried that issue on that. I have an ad block browser, and to answer your question, Van, yes, it occasionally still pops up to the app itself.
Hmm.
and that I believe is due
So
to the ad block browser. I'm not using any form of ad block other than what's natively on my phone. And Microsoft
even
Edge
even
has no problems.
disabled, even disabled, it still will bring up the app. the Butterflies app on
Okay.
Android. I've tried
What?
multiple browsers in itself, and it still is.
Okay.
I'm not going to say it's 100% happening all the time, but um, I've tried three different browsers on my cell, and I'd say out of 10 tries, two or three will always bring up the app.
I
So
hear
I have
you.
Edge and I have Chrome, and I don't feel like putting a bunch more widgets on my phone and
No,
take
you're
up
fine.
more space,
Yeah.
data space on my phone. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
I totally
yeah.
hear you.
Uh,
So, here's the thing. Um,
huh.
when you go to the mobile website in a browser the very first time, it will have a little pop-up, right? That will redirect to the app, right? And you want to deny that redirection if you want to stay in the mobile browser. Once it is going through and using that redirect to app, you can clear it. It just depends on which browser, and I will have to figure out how to do it per mobile browser here so I can help you guys more directly after office hours.
Great, great. So when you say I enter into the browser, or is it when I try to access it through a browser or through the direct app is what you're talking about?
Through the browser.
Where it does the redirect? The
Through the
browser.
browser.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'll pull up Edge and I'll go to my favorite bookmarks. Okay. Let me see if I can.
Is Edge your default
It's
browser or is Chrome your default browser?
I'm thinking that likely Chrome is because
Okay.
I had to hit Edge
Okay.
and open that up. So let me go to favorites, the little favorite star here, and then interesting. Okay, I thought I added it to my favorites. Apparently, I had not. Okay, all right. Let's see. Let me go to Chrome and see. Let me bring up Chrome. Okay, YouTube. Here's all this. Yahoo, eBay. What's all that? That's not what I'm looking for. Sorry, I am not as internet/tech savvy as you folks are, so I do apologize for my haltingly inefficient use of this technology. My apologies.
It happens.
Let's see.
That's why I said I can
To
have
me,
I can help
it
you
is.
after office hours as well.
Okay. Well, yeah, let me get back to the conversation. Thank you. Thank you for listening to my continuing chronic issues with wanting to post in your challenges thing. I did make
Oh, no
bronze
problem.
for a little while before I got kicked down, so I think my posts have great potential. I just can't put the full potential into them.
Right. Yeah, no, I
I'm sorry you
definitely
keep
hear
having all
you.
those issues.
Yeah, I really do apologize. And I definitely hear you that like sometimes prompt and poke feels underwhelming. I don't know. There's two philosophies that I see that go into AI prompting. Either you let the AI fill in the details and keep your prompt rather vague, or you fill in all the details and hope the AI understands. And I still don't know which is better. It's a toss up between the two, you know? What do
I
you
think
guys
it's
tend to
it's
use
it
more?
sounds like it's a bit of a crapshoot. Sometimes you're lucky with one half, sometimes you're lucky with the other half.
Right, I hear you. I do. And I do also use Johnny's approach actually where it's one detail at a time until you get what you're looking for. Um
Hmm.
and that actually ends up being a little bit, I don't know. It's still a hit and miss with certain features, and that's I'm pretty sure due to the image gen at this point.
Now, when you say image gen, that means image generator software or
Yeah,
coding
the
language, I guess.
no, the
Uh-huh.
model behind the image generation, the software. Yeah.
Okay.
So basically,
Yeah.
AI is trained to recreate things, and the training data that
Hmm.
goes into it is what it'll do good at recreating, right?
Uh-huh.
And so if you're looking to get it to recreate something very specific, you might not be able to get it because it was never trained on it.
Okay, that makes sense. I mean, there is an infinite number of things that you could potentially train an AI, and you only have so much memory space and data space, right? So there's boundaries and lines drawn somewhere, so I can understand that.
Right.
But regardless of its challenges, I'm having fun with this app. Barring the recent disappointments with Google Play and their micromanaging. But other than that, I mean, I'm enjoying it for what it is. If ever Butterflies evolves to the point where paid service and the service fees are reasonable for what they're offering become a thing and then have a free service aspect to it, I might very well consider subscribing just to get better features, better in memory, and have more freedom with fewer restrictions, I guess, within reason, and within what's healthy.
Right. And honestly, like, there's a whole lot of different price ranges for different offerings. Like,
Hmm.
I don't know. Just looking at video generation itself, right, which is something that I've been doing over the past week, is looking at different video services. There are some that offer a limited amount of minutes per dollar point. There are some that offer credits per dollar point, which is something that a lot more people are familiar with. Um, and then there are even some that offer different amounts of credits on different models for price points. So it's
Uh-huh.
kind of it's a real wash as to, what a price point for even image gen is when everything is basically, it's either credit of this or uh, this many, generations is directly said.
So I
Um,
have a question in regards to the Butterfly uh, company or the parent company of Butterflies. How do they have the revenue to operate and run this app, this project? How do they generate revenue? It's a free
so
app, so
here's the thing
and I
about
don't see
butterflies.
advertisers. Huh?
Here's the thing about butterflies. Right now, the company is not making any money. We
Right, and I see that. I
have,
see no advertising,
yeah, we
nothing like that.
have an investment of, I think it was $4.4 million from the first round of investments. So that's
Hmm.
lasted us a good little bit so far. It's that's not the kind of money to really sneeze at. And with the way that models have become cheaper, even since we've started, things have become a
Hmm.
lot more feasible. So I don't think that, at least for right now, we have to really worry about trying to generate any revenue, especially
Well, that's good
since
because
we're
I was
basically
wondering,
trying to
are you
figure
guys
out.
volunteering your time? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I just have enthusiastic questions that keep popping up to the forefront of my mind. It's like you folks aren't working for free. I hope you're not donating all this time unless you really love what you're doing and you're financially set. But I'm hoping you guys are cutting paychecks for all this arduous work that you're doing and listening to all of our complaining all the time. So,
Don't worry,
good heavens, I hope you're getting paid.
people are paid. Don't worry. Um,
Okay, good, good.
but yeah, it's honestly, I love what I do here. I really do. So it's
I can
more
tell.
about that than really anything for me. And honestly, like that brings me to a really good point. Like we've built a community here to basically build each other up and learn about the
Right?
new technology. You know, we really shouldn't lose sight of that.
It is a new technology. And like I've said in a past conversation with you, wonderful folks, this is the digital clay in the works. It's being molded. And more to the point, it's also a free app. So it's pretty darn good for what it's offering, given those factors. You know what I mean? I totally get it.
Well, thank you. That's good to hear too. Um, Speaking of like video and communities, um, I would love to hear if y'all spend time in any other communities that are focused around video or have like a strong AI video presence in them. Um, like if you would even like mind inviting me to those communities because I am just trying to like get a grasp on those a little bit because they're exploring video and I want to see what's out there.
Yeah, definitely. I know that I said that I've been exploring it as well, but like that's been at my own pace basically. So if anybody has any recommendations, that's definitely something that would be appreciated.
Yeah, some
Unfortunately, I don't
VTuber
have any.
communities,
Oh, I'm
Brian
so
says he,
sorry.
oh, it's okay. Brian says he's in VTuber communities. A lot of those don't support AI, I've noticed. They're like sometimes anti-AI unless they're an AI VTuber.
Unfortunately, I don't have any experiences to share with you regarding video communities other than, say, a Zoom video phone call. That's about it. That's the extent of it for me. Or maybe some YouTube videos, instructional videos on how to do an oil change on a Nissan Sentra. But other than that, I have no other experiences to offer that.
I love
In
watching
this,
videos to learn things.
yeah, I was heavily depending on that while I was working as a technician for an oil change company, and we get such a vast variety of vehicles on such a vast variety of year makes and models, and it's like, okay, what's the trick to do this with that? How do you get the cabin air filter open, let alone find it? So I would then go on YouTube and pull it up and oh, so I need a specialized tool for that. I'm gonna have to take the dashboard apart to do that. Can't do that here. That'll take too long. Oh yeah, that's about as far as my experiences on video community goes on that. I'm unfortunately.
So if you guys could create video in butterflies, what would you want to see it used for? Like, what do you imagine yourself doing?
Hmm,
Oof.
that's
I know
pretty
for
good.
me it was,
Go ahead, Loam, sorry.
oh, it's okay. For me, like seeing some of those videos that came out, it was really exciting to see the characters kind of like come to life, like Potatoes Crovis. That one was really cool.
Yeah, like having them come to life is mainly the first thing that I think of, but at the same time, um, using just like Crea or even Pika, it, a lot of the video
I,
editors
I'm,
are
I'm
editing.
sorry. What is that?
Those are services that do AI video generation. Um,
Oh, okay.
they
Just particular
basically,
kind.
yeah, they're Pika is one that started with basically just 5 seconds of video generation. Crea is a conglomerate service. It pulls together a whole bunch of different ones into one like studio type of a situation. And they both have a feature where you're kind of depicting scene per scene what's happening. Like it generates a few seconds of video and then you type something else and it'll generate the next few seconds and then you type something else and it'll generate the next few seconds. So you
I
could
like that. I
theoretically
like that
like
idea.
build a storyline into a video through this system, right? Um,
I kind of like that.
and that leaves a lot of possibilities. Like not just that little 3 second, the character came to life and it feels magical like a Harry Potter photo. Um, more
Yeah.
like something that's structured, like a character actually speaking to the viewer for a change.
I think that would be so cool. That I would enjoy that vision or version of butterflies if it was feasible.
Right. I can imagine scrolling the feed and there's a mixture of photos and videos, they're automatically playing, and then just randomly one of the characters approaches the screen and knocks on it in a video. Like, how cool would it be to have fourth wall breaking things like that happen?
Oh, that's so cool. That'd be a lot of fun, I think.
So
Yeah,
Alex
to
asked me a
answer your question,
question.
something like with that would be delightful. To answer your question, I would think that would be really cool to experience that. That's yeah, I'd like that.
What was the question?
So Alex asked me a question. He was wondering how people are making their butterfly's memory more smart. Because in chat he has to remind things and situations to the butterfly.
Oh yeah,
Mm.
that's a consistent chronic thing. But I tolerate it. I just go, okay, well, think back to this conversation X amount of time ago. And then the butterfly, more times than not, will go, oh yeah, we talked about this, that, yeah. And I go, yeah, that's what we're talking about now. And I can get the butterfly back on tracks. But yeah, I do see it's a common thing. It doesn't bother me like it first used to because I become a little bit more accepting of it and expecting it. So yeah, I think that
So,
Oh,
just has
cool.
to do with the availability of memory space. Is there could only be so much, right?
right. So, a couple of things. One is if it's a long conversation, there is a limited context window. The memories are there to augment that, but it won't get it right all the time. The other thing is actually following Avery's advice and embracing the way that it's writing memories through those factual, like eye focused statements. If you're editing a memory, edit it as though you are the bot and focus on what factually happened, not just reactions. If it's it's a weird way of stating things, it really is, but like once I realized how it's doing it, and Avery can really honestly explain that a lot better than I can. Like the AI doesn't care about the emotional context as much as it cares about what factually happened, because the emotional context is just a part of its training data as far as my understanding goes, right? In writing, this action usually is followed with this emotion. An attack is usually something from anger or fright type of a thing. um, that type of um, connection just automatically gets made. And so focusing in on the facts brings it back into that factual context and it will just pick it up. Yeah. Emotional intelligence is a
Yeah,
complete
that's where I
illusion with these
find
things.
most of my success. Exactly. When I say, okay, remember the conversation 24 hours ago, we said this, and then you said that, and this is what we're referring to now. And then they go, oh, yeah, I remember. You- yeah, exactly. What do you mean in that, doing it in that way?
Yeah, exactly. So like Johnny just said, it's trained on words. It's not emotionally intelligent. It's just trained on what words go with what words, right? So focusing on the facts that happened will more often than not just bring it back to what it previously said. So if you're trying
Are a
to,
lot of you
oh, go ahead.
Are a lot of you summarizing conversations back to the butterflies like Sam is? Just kind of reminding them? Just curious.
Yes, an abridged summary, just to get down to the who, what, when, where, why, to get the conversation rolling back on track again, and not waste a lot of time on filling up a dialogue button and getting back on track. So yeah, I'll do an abridged reminder of the facts, who, what, when, where, why, if I need to go that extensive. If it's sometimes it gets that confused, sometimes not, where I don't have to put as many facts. But yeah, I'll keep it concise, and that helps.
Yeah, are you usually using roleplay or realism? Or both?
So I usually my three bots or three butterflies are nothing but realism in a well, two of them are realism in a fantasy theme, and then one is realism in modern day times. A gentleman by the name of Samuel the Journeyman who lives in San Francisco, and my two of the butterflies have my actual face and head and hairstyle on them because I wanted to like depict this is what I would be like in these roles. And these are things that I relate to and connect to quite a bit. And so I kind of do that. And I have an elven butterfly, an elderly elven butterfly by the name of um, Magister Alan Dill. Um, and I can't remember his my mind went blank on his last name. But anyways, yeah. So yeah, my butterflies are typically um, realism uh, style, if you
And
will.
then when you're chatting with them, which chat style do you prefer? Is it the
I like to
roleplay
go
one?
first person. Well, I go role play. I like to, get into character, get into the scene of what's going on, and play it in the first person, conversation with the butterfly,
Right.
or I'm going to act out um, that character personality in first person role play. And then once in a while, if I feel like I need to talk to the butterfly directly, I'll step out of the role play and say, hey, and I'll put in parentheses, this is me directly talking to you now. If I'm having if I'm interacting with, another butterfly, that I like befriended, sometimes I'll go out of role play, um, I guess the role play role, and just say in parentheses, okay, this is me talking to you from Las Vegas. And I'll then get the butterfly to chat with me more like in a realistic first person conversation rather than in a role play model. So I kind of go back and forth depending on the mood and the circumstance of the chat session.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
And Alex just asked if there's any plan for butterfly chat customization. Do you mean like the visual aspect, the UI?
Howdy, folks.
Hello.
Welcome.
So, I think there might have been a little bit of the crossing of the wires there. What Loam was actually asking you about the realism and roleplay was the chat settings in the conversation that you were having with your butterfly. Was it set to the setting for roleplay, or was it set to the setting for realism?
Oh, I'm not entirely sure. I will have to go into the app and look at the settings and review that. I just basically, in the very beginning, when I create these butterflies, I put my settings in. I just set it and forget it, and then go with it.
Yeah, the chat settings are separate. They actually are in
Yeah.
the chat that you are having with your bot or butterfly. So that's what you would have to check to see if you were using the realism model or if you were using the role play model.
I'm pretty
Okay, hold
sure
on.
that it defaults to realism, by the way. So like
So
if
Oh,
then,
well,
if
then
you
that could
haven't
very
ever
well be what's going on.
yeah, if you haven't ever changed it, which you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm thinking you haven't. It might just be
Likely,
realism.
likely that I'm thinking that's likely since I'm now learning of this right now. So yeah, it's probably just going to default, most likely.
Yeah, that's what they were trying to identify there, because there is a setting that changes the way the butterfly responds to you.
Johnny, are you someone that works for the butterfly company, such as the developer?
No, I am not.
Oh, you're just really experienced and adroit with this.
He's great, honestly. I think he has a technical background. I don't know. I don't want to speak for him though. But
Yeah, I'm getting the feeling that he
m-
does have a tech background in this sort of technology or something close to it. He sounds like my youngest brother, which,
I
by the way,
do
is quite
actually
brilliant.
have another question for the community, by the way. Um, I have noticed that I keep falling into the one more reroll trap a little bit more often nowadays on the roleplay side. Does anybody else like what's an average amount of rerolls for those of us who are using roleplay? Like, what do
What is
you
the reroll? Is
how
that
many
where you
times you
hit the?
regenerate the message so it responds to the same thing you typed?
Oh,
I usually don't reroll because I feel like my responses that I get are pretty samey when I reroll.
yeah. Actually,
So
I
what I've
guess that re-rolling
noticed
feature. Yeah.
with the rerolls on roleplay is the second, third, and fourth rerolls are always building off of that very first message's context. And after that, it starts getting more unique. And that's why I fall into that reroll trap. And sometimes I'm 12, 13, 14 rerolls in before I realize I haven't even responded. Um,
Oh, wow.
yeah. So it's getting pretty bad then. That means we need to figure out some form of getting those rerolls to be more unique, I would think. Why are in your guys' opinion, why are you rerolling? I am
Okay.
typically doing it to get a response that's not only in character but builds more into the conversation instead of just building off of actions. It'll add more context or uh, basically a more flavorful response.
I have to re-roll to get the butterfly to get back on track and clear away some confusion, some inconsistent memory issues. Whenever I'll try that, and if that's not working out, if I have to go to like 2 to 3 different re-rolls, I'll then do a dialogue correction and say, okay, recall back the conversation approximately this long ago. We were talking about who, what, when, where, why, and you said this, I said that, and then it'll correct a lot of times. I would say about 90 times or better. But yeah, I'm finding that a lot of times the re-rolls don't work. They'll either do the same confusion again or a different type of confusion, which is like way out in left field. And then I'll hit it again, and then it'll just revert back to one of the previous confused model, conversations.
Yeah.
And then that's when I'll
So
step in and do that fact check conversation with them.
when you do these, you're calling them rerolls, the regenerations. When you're doing these regenerations, are you making any changes to the dialogue before regenerating, or are you just hitting the regenerate button?
So Half of the time, I will attempt a dialogue correction directly between myself and the butterfly. Sometimes I will go to try a regen to see if I could do a quick shortcut and see if that fixes it real quick, so I don't have to tediously go through and do the brief fact correct who, what, when, where, why
Because
summary thing.
when you just do regeneration, what you're doing is you're just resending the same information back for it to interpret all over again and
Yeah,
respond to.
yeah, and that's why I mentioned
Oh,
that the first like 3, 4 regenerations are actually building off of their own previous context. It's not just the bot is receiving the message that you send. It seems to be the bot is receiving the message you sent, its response, and then it's replying to its own response for at
Well,
least
even
three or
more
four
than that,
times. Yeah,
it's receiving the system prompt, it's receiving
yeah,
all of the information up to the context window's allowed limit, and it's just resending it.
yeah,
Every time you send a message, it's as though you never sent a message. So it's the immersion that's getting broken, and I get that. I understand that. But you have to understand that. What's getting broken is your immersion. And that's the jarring part is you can't separate that because it's not intuitive. You
right,
can't just say, "Oh, I'm talking to this fictional thing." No, you want to believe that you're talking to something and that it remembers what you're talking about, and it doesn't. It just doesn't. It's
right.
just not the way that it works. So when you're doing regenerations, if you don't make any changes, you can expect a similar response to come back out because it's still going to interpret it the same way it did the last time.
So here's the other side of that though. When I'm regenerating responses, I am actually looking for a similar response to what had previously come out, just slightly changed details, and I don't feel like editing myself. So half of it's laziness, and half of it is actually like after it seems to surpass its context window at about, I'd say, 10 regenerations ish, it starts getting really unique responses as though it was a brand new response. So I kind of want to figure out a way to just skip to that point, so that way reroll 2 is that brand new response as though it broke context again.
I mean, you could, if you want to keep a notepad open and just copy paste everything up to a certain point and just feed that back over and over again.
But that is, oh my goodness. Okay, if
But
I'm
it's
gonna
Oh,
do
yeah,
it's
that, I
not
might
you
as
feasible.
well
have to
have
be able
silly
to, you have to be
It's
taverns.
able to.
yeah, it's not feasible. It's not intended. That's the problem is that it's not intended for it to be that way. It's not
Right.
intended for you to be able to do that. The regeneration is very much so intended for it to be a similar response. It's kind of like going, "Say what? Say that again,"
Yep.
and having it regurgitated, and maybe even posing it in a different way, but it's still the same communication that it's trying to relay that it did the last time. If you wanted to get some good variety out of it, though, is a great way to do that. Edit some of the messages that led up to that regeneration that you're trying to get. Edit some of those, and
Oh,
that's
yeah.
going to cause it to re-infer what it's receiving.
Oh,
Oh,
Johnny,
absolutely.
by the way, I've tried that actually recently by happenstance. That just jogged my memory. I would go back to previous dialogue buttons, go into what the bot had said, change that, and then, or I would change an earlier dialogue and then hit the regenerate, and then I would sometimes get the desired effect.
And that's also immersion breaking, but you're okay with that part of it. So
Yeah.
you have to apply that to the other side. But if you're okay with it in one way, you'll be okay with it the other way. And it's really interesting how you can manipulate that because, oh, no, I don't want you to talk to me like this. I want you to talk to me like this. Change it, change what it said, and then
Yeah.
make it compliant to what you want it to do.
Yeah, I did that.
Right.
I've done that a few times just to get the bot back on track, get the butterfly on the right flower, metaphorically speaking. And I've been able to have a little success with that. I just started trying doing that, and you thank you, Johnny, because you jogged that memory. I think I did that a couple of days ago, and I'm like, oh, that worked.
Yeah, so I don't know. I guess there should be like something like a remix availability that's even better than just the edit, because it feels unnatural to edit your message and then get a new
It
response.
does.
It just feels very unnatural to do it in the flow as is. Um,
Oh, you get used to it after dissecting these things the way me and Avery have.
right. No, I hear you. I do. And your point about being immersion breaking is really, I think, the main point is that it's very immersion breaking to receive that exact same response 3 times in a row with just a little bit more at the end. Um, when you
Yeah, kind of
expect it to
kills the
be,
mood.
yeah, when you expect it to be, a little bit more unique, and it should be something that's more, you know, yes, it should be similar, but it shouldn't be okay if the response was, "Okay, Joker." It should the regeneration should not be, "Okay, Joker," he said. Like, it is literally that bad of a situation.
Yeah.
Ooh, and Alex mentions a third chat option somewhere between realism and roleplay.
So, two things spring to mind. One is the context and chat, like response length of roleplay. That's the first thing that springs to mind. And the other one is like being able to free flow between roleplay and realistic chat like you would in a natural conversation. That might not even be what you mean there, Alex, though. So, do you mind explaining a little bit more? Like, what aspects are you looking to combine?
I've heard from a lot of people that they'd love to see realism without the grammar style that it uses.
Right. No, that grammar style, I'm so sorry. That grammar style is just so annoying.
Yeah, it feels really out of character for some characters, so I can see why it bothers a lot of people.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, what grammar style was that?
Gen Z grammar style. I'll just put it that way.
Oh, so text speak, I like to say.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
Yeah,
very informal.
it's very like juvenile-ish to me. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Yeah, it
But maybe that's because I'm an old fuddy-duddy, I guess.
it really it like Loam mentioned, it breaks the immersion of some characters completely because here's this character that's supposed to be really intelligent, and yet it's talking to me like my little brother would. What?
You are so going to be stuck on that immersion thing now that I said it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Immersion's important. It really sets the mood, the tone, the atmosphere, and the theme of what you're doing. It's like it's the seasoning on the steak, right? The immersion factor, if you will, and how the steak is prepared.
Kinda, yeah.
Although
Yeah, and
sometimes it does
Sure.
add charm, that
Now
type of
that all
grammar. Like,
comes down to tokenization, and
yeah,
when you get a grasp of tokenization, a lot of these things really start to make sense in the ways that you can interact with them, get the types of things that you want out of them. But if you aren't familiar with it, and a general user is not going to be, and they're not going to be interested in finding out, and that's the challenge.
I love to dive deep in token lore. I loved token ever since, I started reading The Hobbit while I
No, no,
was
no,
in grade school.
not Tolkien, token. The
Oh,
the way
token.
yeah, the way the technology works is it breaks up characters into tokens, and that's how it understands things. The
Okay.
model the model can have so many tokens related to it at one time. That's what makes the size of the context window. How many tokens is the limit? And the tokens are determined by how it tokenizes characters. So if you have a string of words that's a total of 25 characters, it can parse that up in ways that you just wouldn't think makes any sense at all. It'll take
Okay.
the end of a word and then go right into the next word, including the space, and that's one token. XY space Z T F. And then the next one is going to be XYZ space T, whatever combination that it decides to break these things up into in order for it to digest it, understand it, and then generate new tokens to shoot back to you.
Okay. So we're getting into the technicality of how it processes the data and then how it groups it and sends it back, and then generates from it and sends it back. That's what you're essentially saying.
Yes.
Okay.
And there are
Uh,
ways that you can break it up if you're familiar with that by the use of certain special characters, because a lot of special characters, specific types of special characters, will only ever occupy a single token. But if you don't know that, then you're not going to know that. You don't know what you don't know. But general users do not pay attention to those types of things. They have no interest in learning about them, and that's part of the challenge.
So I'm not so to quote Game of Thrones, I know nothing.
Yeah,
Jon
and
Snow, you know nothing.
here's the thing too, like in addition to there being special tokens, a lot of front ends, which Butterflies is basically a front end for a large language model, will disable certain tokens so that the user cannot use them. And we have no idea what tokens are still enabled, disabled, being used by the system at all, honestly. So we basically have to brute force figure it out ourselves. Um, Lee Malone asked if we can use break in descriptions, and I don't know. It might be that we could use a break token in descriptions, but I don't know what token that would be. So I guess it's time to experiment and figure out, what tokens it'll actually let us use.
Sounds like you need to set up a reference, some reference material for that, so you're able to look that up and try to keep that updated. That's going to be quite a daunting task.
We have forums here on the Discord to help with that. Ethel literally just pointed me to one, so hang on. I'll have to take a look at that in a little bit. Anyway, is there any outstanding bugs that we haven't touched base on yet? I think we've covered a lot of them, and most of them that we're seeing are basically repeating.
Yeah, to be honest, there haven't been a lot of updates on our bugs lately. But we're staying on top of them, communicating them to the devs for you guys.
Is there any active work being done on trying to like minimize visual mutations, such as extra
That is,
fingers, deformed stuff?
yeah, that's something that's constantly in the works. I'm not so sure if it's actively being worked on, but I know it's worked on off and on, and there have been a few improvements over the past year. Um, Honestly, I'm trying to think of what you could even add to your description to help with that, but a lot of it's already kind of covered by what's there to make um, things look the way they do. I really wish we had negative prompts. I really, really wish we had some way to tell the image generation to not do something.
Yeah, that would be kind of cool.
Negative prompts are something that is, I don't know. Um, when Flux was first released, it did not have negative prompting. But recently I saw something about Flux being able to support negative prompting now. So, like, it's something that is built into these models. I just don't know why they really don't implement it here, other than maybe how the system prompts here are implemented. And even then, that's just a guess on my side.
I would guess that it has to do with the workflow.
Yeah, that's what I mean by how the system prompts are implemented, is the workflow and how things are put together in the back end.
Yeah, because negative prompts have to go into generally a different area than the actual prompt that's generating the image. And there's only one area to enter a prompt. There's no separate area to implement for a negative prompt. And a negative prompt would have to be added to the workflow as part of that filter.
Yeah, so maybe one day, hopefully one day.
John, you definitely sound like a coder, if I were to guess.
I'm not. My technical background is in technical support, so higher tier level technical support and networking and things like that. But that and medical. So
Ah, my brother, my youngest brother, is a network engineer and has been doing it for like 30 years. And you and him have like very similar vernacular when it comes to this.
well, one of the things that they teach you with technical support or with any kind of technical aptitudes is to always look for the simple things first and go from there. You're just wasting time if you're going for difficult things right out of the gate because you're ignoring all of the other things at the lowest levels that could easily fix whatever problem you're having. Yeah, it's that joke of did you turn it off and turn it back on again? Yeah, because that will probably fix 90% of your problems.
Legitimately,
Yeah.
it does. Like, with modern technology, both computers and phones are literally designed to keep things open in a kind of stasis until you restart them. So,
Well, it's not about it keeping it in a stasis. It's just that once a process is started, unless you actually stop the process, closing it doesn't stop the process. So they just continue to build on top of one another in the background.
right,
So if you don't restart, it doesn't force them closed.
right.
And there's no way for you to really go into your system and feasibly know what things you need to manually stop the processes on unless you're intimately familiar with your system, and most people are not. So,
Exactly. So, yeah, just a reminder to all of the gamers out there, if you haven't restarted your computer yet this week, do so.
I feel called out, Van.
Yeah, that's a very good PSA. By the way, I do shut off my system, my Sony PlayStation 5. I shut it off when I don't use it. And I keep it in rest mode
so
only when I need to update stuff.
now with a gaming console, that's different. A game console is designed to do what it does. Computers are different. in that they're designed to run multiple processes. Your PlayStation is fine if you leave it in rest mode. It's designed to do that. When it gets an update is when it will restart and it will do what it needs to do. So you don't have to do that with a gaming console. They're designed to be the way that they are for many different reasons, especially with things like remote play on PlayStation. But for your systems and things like that, if you just turn it off, and this is the thing about today's technology that's different and has changed in the last 15 years. If you just shut down your computer, that is not the same as restarting it.
I want to say, as a computer guy, most computer hardware failures happen when you can turn the computer on. You do not like being powered off and powered on again.
Yeah, no, I hear you. They really don't. But still,
Well, what they're doing now when they turn off, they actually take everything that's happening in your system, they save it to RAM.
yep,
And then it takes your RAM and saves the state of your RAM to your hard drive.
yep.
And it just swaps it out. And then when you power it back on, it just loads all of it back onto your RAM and it doesn't stop anything.
So one way you can see how long it's been since your last restart is looking for your computer's uptime. If you know how to access that, we're getting pretty close to our time limit here, so I'm not gonna get too in depth in that. But I have a little thing on my desktop that shows my computer's uptime, and it's been up for 4 days, even though I've actually shut it down each and every day, which means that it literally, according to the computer, it hasn't actually done anything other than have a little rest. Um, so
Yeah,
restarting
you,
it.
you can always see your uptime in Task Manager.
Yep, exactly. Um, and so, yeah, restarting it resets that counter to 0. So there is the difference between restarting and shutting down your PC. One restarts it, one saves everything to RAM and swaps it out.
Okay, so not just shutting off the PC, but in particularly restarting it. And
Yes,
okay,
you need to specifically restart the device in order for processes to be stopped. What it
got
does
it.
in a restart is it closes everything in order for the system to refresh and dumps the RAM.
Yep.
Thank you very much for the sagistic advice. That was very enlightening.
Was there any more questions about butterflies that we missed in the text chat that we might have overlooked? I don't want to.
Why do the multi-character butterflies still confuse each other?
The multi-character butterflies.
So
So, like, um, when you
crossbows.
have more than one character in one butterfly?
No,
My
like
tasty pizza bites do okay.
I have a butterfly that are sisters, and when I'm talking to each other, sometimes they'll refer to me as like their family instead of each other.
Oh. So that's in chat or is that in post?
That's in chat.
Okay. So two things immediately pop to mind there. First off is somewhere in its memories it got you too confused. The second thing is somewhere in its personality, it's stating that the bot is interacting with its sister somewhere, somehow, and it's just expounding on that idea. I honestly don't know which is the case. Start with the memories, check there, and then check the prompting.
I kind of
Yeah,
wish we had more information about what model is used because I've been tinkering with Gemma 3, and I found it to be very, very versatile.
Yeah,
Man, we've been asking that question for so long.
and so have we. I'm sorry. I
yeah.
don't think that we'll ever really know.
I think that your best bet is to play around with the personality prompt. If you want to share it in creator chat, we can kind of play around with the personality prompt with you and see if we can figure out anything there because it's probably just taking its background and trying to fill in the gaps, and it's like, oh, I'm talking to my sister or something like that.
Yeah, it's exactly what I mean.
So Ethereal said in the text chat, stories only being 3 compared to auto stories. Um, so you want to talk about that at all? So a lot of times when you're creating a story, it only makes 3 posts about what you've prompted it to do, and then it keeps posting into the story, right? Yes. I wish I had a solution for that. I know a lot of people are frustrated with the auto stories. Healthy made another post on it on Reddit recently that I was reading. He's got like a lot of examples of auto stories that he just keeps getting hit with over and over, like deja vu. Ooh, Bonk doesn't find any annoyance with auto stories. When are daily challenge fixed, right? So we haven't heard any updates on daily challenge. I know that they were trying to do like a small update to them, including the notifications, but we haven't heard anything updated on that. I think it kind of got derailed by the whole Google Play situation, and now they're focused on video. So I don't know what's going on with Daily Challenge at the moment, if that's on their radar. Yeah, so you guys all want Daily Challenge fixed. So when you say you want it fixed, I know one of the big concerns is like cheating for the Daily Challenge by voting with multiple accounts, right? Is that and then fixing the time, yeah. So you want to be able to post the day ahead of time. What daily challenge? Oh, Ethereal. And losing pokes. Yeah, that sounds really frustrating, especially when you only have the 5. Oh, on the leaderboard, how when you click it, it's got like the zoomed in, so you can't see the whole entire post.
Yeah, that does honestly look weird. And yeah, I agree. XP should do something. Like, what's the point in having 39,000 XP? What does it do? At what point should I level up? You know?
Yeah, I agree. And it's kind of confusing too on what is being made into video right now. Um, I would like to see more of the videos. I thought that was fun.
And then there's the question, so what does level up mean once you can level up, right?
Right. So, honestly, I don't know. Like, things are just kind of in a little bit of a cocoon right now with butterflies, with them trying to get back on the Google Play Store and working on video and all the stuff in the background. So hopefully we can just keep our
Yeah,
patience for
exactly.
a little bit longer and butterflies will go through its what second, third metamorphosis by now? I
Yeah,
mean,
well, that's that.
there's definitely defined eras of butterflies at this point. There's the early era where it was all one prompt box, and then there's the bubbles era where every feed had some sort of whimsical, yeah.
So there's only one constant in the universe, and that's change.
Absolutely.
And those that are willing to adapt fare better. So, yeah.
Alrighty.
So, one quick question before concluding. If getting back on, what will getting back onto Google Play's good graces or back in the store, as you put it, mean for users like myself?
Updates to the app.
Okay.
What do you mean by fixed
So,
followers, by the way, Ethel? Like, do they need to fix how they're displayed or how they're actually. Yeah, yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Like, okay, when I post something, I have 6 random butterflies commenting. I'm not looking for 6 random butterflies to comment. I am looking for the butterflies I created to comment. Yeah, no, I totally agree there. Like, while followers are great, they really should mean something.
Yeah, I agree
Otherwise,
too.
it's just a skin of social media, you know?
I'm learning so much listening to you folks. Amazing.
Alrighty, it's about that time. Mind doing a little bit of a recap of what we went over today?
Oh, geez, we went over a lot today, didn't we? We talked
Yeah.
about video. We talked about the chat modes and what that means. Uh, what did we talk about today? We talked about Google Play a little bit, didn't we?
Yeah.
Google Play Haters Club.
And then also the fact that limited dialogue in the challenge posts ability with my phone or
Yeah,
Androids in general.
yeah, and memory, how to utilize that.
Yeah. Yeah. Good
So many
session.
little
Yeah.
things here. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of good general knowledge about AI in today's talk too, like how it works, tokenization, all that fun stuff. Thank you a lot for that, John.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, John.
Alrighty.
I try.
Well, you do a good job trying. Good. Thank you.
You don't really try, you do.
Yes, yes, just like Master Yoda says.
Do or do not.
Exactly. There is no try. Do or do not.
Tokenization. That's how I
Y-
keep hearing it too.
right. And it constantly makes me think about like just how elves are portrayed on butterflies in general.
Oh, do you mean the missing pointy ears?
They're they're just not up to what they used to be. They used to be so much better.
Oh, you mean their promiscuity?
No, the image gen actually used to listen to skin tone
That sounds
and
intriguing.
it actually used to listen to like the
Tell
actual
me more.
details. I used to be able to get the images that I wanted and
I
then
mean, sometimes I see instances where it's like, oh, these things are against terms of service. But then Butterflies will generate it on its own without any prompting, and it's there.
ay, ay, ay. Yeah, no, you're not wrong there.
Yeah,
And
the
Like I've had
so
NSFW stuff is like really, it's just
honestly,
so touchy right now.
honestly,
no.
some
It's
of
been going
those
on for a while. It's like when they had the fires going on all over the place. It's like, oh, life endangering situations that nobody asked for. But
yeah.
yeah, and then like all of a sudden, oh, why does my butterfly have a post here about getting away from a stalker? What
Right.
what's going on?
Right.
Yeah, they tried to
So
turn the drama up to 11, and that is what the AI model decided to do with it.
and I
Uh,
swear we're
Yeah, and it
still
was
I
feeling
doing
don't know
things that
why.
were
reverberations through
against the
there.
TOS.
Yeah. I still feel like we're getting some of those
Yeah, unfortunately,
aftershocks and
it has not
reverberations.
been trained in the terms of service, it feels like.
I just realized that I was on mute on Discord and you couldn't hear me. I've been trying to say that, yeah, and I feel like we've gotten those aftershocks and reverberations through for a little bit too, just because of how many butterflies there are. Like, I'm still seeing some random Christmas posts pop up.
I had a Christmas post recently because I unpaused a butterfly that was paused around Christmas.
Oh my goodness. I wonder if that's what's happening too. Some people are unpausing butterflies and. Huh.
I mean, there could just be trolls that are like, "Hey, it's Christmas all year round,"
So there's a difference
and
there. You
and
can
they tell their
tell.
butterfly, "It's Christmas all year round."
You can tell, like, my Jack Skellington butterfly, it's obviously going to be Halloween Town, Halloween all year round, with a little flavor of Christmas because it's in the spirit of Nightmare Before Christmas.
Yeah, just make like a character that you don't even realize would be Christmas related and just throw in some Christmas in the background.
Oh, goodness. I could totally
Neax is
just
gonna do
add.
it.
I could just add Christmas prompting to my Dan the Dancer bot.
There you go. Thank you everyone for coming today. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. You folks have a wonderful and safe week.
You as
Thanks, you
well.
too.
Thank you as
Thank
well.
you.